I still remember the morning of my 28th birthday. The sun came through my window, and I felt this warm flutter in my chest, because for the first time in 3 years, my whole family would be together for dinner. I had been looking forward to this day for weeks. My navy blue Honda Civic sat in my parents' driveway, the same car I spent 4 years saving for during college. I trusted my family completely. I did not know that tonight would change everything I believed about the people I loved most. Before we dive into this story, let me know where you're watching from today. Drop a comment below and hit that like button and subscribe if you have ever been blindsided by someone you trusted. If you have ever felt like the invisible one in your family, stay with me until the end. Growing up in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio, my family looked perfectly normal from the outside. My father worked as a freelance plumber, fixing pipes and drains across the neighborhood. My mother held a steady job as an administrative assistant at a dental clinic downtown. We lived in a modest 3-bedroom house with a small backyard and a garage that always smelled like motor oil and old newspapers. Then there was my brother Derek, 3 years older than me. Derek was the golden child, the one whose name was always spoken with pride. In high school, he played varsity basketball and made it to the state semifinals. Girls followed him around like he was some kind of celebrity. Teachers loved him. Coaches praised him. My parents beamed whenever anyone mentioned his name. I was different. I was the quiet one, the daughter who sat in the corner reading books while everyone else watched Derek score another winning basket. I made honor roll every semester, but my report cards were met with a quick glance and a nod. I won the science fair in 7th grade, and my parents forgot to attend the ceremony. I told myself it was okay, that they were busy, that they showed love in different ways. When I was 12 years old, I won first place in the county essay writing competition. I had worked on that essay for 3 weeks, staying up late, rewriting every sentence until it was perfect. The day I came home with the trophy, my heart was pounding with excitement. I ran into the kitchen where my parents sat at the table with Derek. I said, "Mom, Dad, I won first place." My mother looked up briefly and said, "That is nice, honey." She turned back to Derek and asked, "So what time is your game on Saturday? We want to make sure we get good seats." My father did not even look up from his newspaper. He just mumbled, "Good job, Philomena." I stood there holding my trophy, waiting for something more. A hug, a smile, some acknowledgement that I had accomplished something meaningful. But the conversation had already moved on to Derek and his basketball schedule and what snacks they should bring to cheer him on. I took my trophy to my room and placed it on my desk. I stared at it for a long time, trying to understand why winning did not feel like winning at all. When I was 16, I asked my parents if I could take driving lessons. All my friends were learning to drive, and I was eager to have that independence. I approached my father one evening while he was watching television. I said, "Dad, can I start learning to drive? Maybe we could look into driving school." He did not take his eyes off the screen. He said, "Girls do not need to drive that early. Besides, we need to save money for your brother. He needs new basketball shoes, and those things are not cheap." I wanted to argue. I wanted to point out that Derek already had 4 pairs of basketball shoes while I was still wearing sneakers from 2 years ago. But I had learned by then that arguing never changed anything, so I nodded and walked away. That was the moment I decided I would never ask my parents for anything again. If I wanted something, I would earn it myself. When I started college, I got a part-time job at a coffee shop near campus. I worked early morning shifts before my classes, waking up at 5 a.m. to open the store and brew the first pots of coffee. The pay was minimum wage, barely enough to cover my textbooks and basic expenses. But I saved every dollar I could. After my sophomore year, I found a better opportunity. A small marketing company near the university needed a part-time administrative assistant. The pay was better, and the hours were more flexible. I took the job and threw myself into the work. I learned how to manage schedules, organize files, and communicate with clients. My boss noticed my dedication and gave me more responsibilities. For 4 years, I lived frugally. While my roommates went out to restaurants and bars, I stayed home and cooked cheap meals. While they bought new clothes and gadgets, I wore the same outfits and used a phone with a cracked screen. I said no to spring break trips and concert tickets. Every paycheck, I transferred money into my savings account and watched the balance grow slowly but steadily. By the time I graduated, I had saved $8,500. It was not a fortune, but it was enough. I started searching for used cars and found a 2014 Honda Civic with low mileage and a clean history. The seller was an elderly man whose wife had passed away, and he no longer needed the second car. He looked at me, this young woman barely out of college, and he said, "You seem like someone who will take good care of her." I handed him the cashier. "Is check with trembling hands." He gave me the keys, and I sat in the driver's seat of my very own car for the first time. I gripped the steering wheel and burst into tears, not sad tears, but tears of relief and pride and joy. I had done it. I had actually done it without any help from anyone. That navy blue Honda Civic became more than transportation. It was proof that I could depend on myself. It was freedom. It was 4 years of sacrifice transformed into something real and tangible. I drove that car everywhere, to job interviews, to my new apartment, to weekend trips with friends. Every time I turned the key in the ignition, I felt a small surge of pride. This was mine. I had earned it. The evening of my 28th birthday started beautifully. I drove to my parents' house with a bottle of wine in one hand and a cake I had ordered from a local bakery in the other. The autumn air was crisp, and the leaves on the trees had turned brilliant shades of orange and red. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed something strange. The spot where I usually parked my car when visiting was empty. But more importantly, my car was not in the garage. I had left it here 2 weeks ago because my father said he needed to borrow it for some errands. I assumed he had parked it somewhere else, maybe on the street or behind the house. I walked inside and was greeted by the smell of roasted chicken and garlic mashed potatoes, my favorite meal. My mother hugged me and wished me happy birthday. My father gave me a pat on the shoulder. For a moment, everything felt warm and normal. Then Derek arrived with his fiancée, Amber. She was tall and blonde, with perfectly manicured nails, and a designer handbag that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She barely acknowledged me before launching into a detailed description of their upcoming wedding plans. "The ceremony is going to be at that vineyard I showed you," she said to my mother. "And we have decided on a destination honeymoon, Hawaii. Can you imagine 2 weeks in Maui?" My mother clasped her hands together and said, "Oh, that sounds absolutely wonderful." I smiled politely and took my seat at the dining table. Derek sat across from me, and I noticed he kept glancing at Amber and smiling in a way that seemed almost secretive, like they were sharing a private joke. During dinner, I tried to bring up my car a few times. I asked my father where he had parked it, and he suddenly became very interested in his mashed potatoes. I asked my mother if she knew, and she quickly changed the subject to Derek's wedding venue. A knot began forming in my stomach. Something was wrong. I could feel it in the way they avoided my eyes, in the nervous energy that seemed to hover over the table like a storm cloud waiting to burst. After the main course, my mother brought out the birthday cake. 28 candles flickered in the dim light. Everyone sang happy birthday. Though Derek voice seemed almost mocking, hitting the notes too loudly and smiling too widely, too. I blew out the candles and made a wish. I wished for clarity, for honesty, for the uncomfortable feeling in my chest to go away. Then my father stood up and cleared his throat. Before we have cake, he said we have some news to share. He paused and looked at my mother, who nodded encouragingly. We have made a decision as a family. We sold Philomena's car. I blinked. I was certain I had misheard him. He continued. We used the money to pay for Derek and Amber's honeymoon. Hawaii is expensive, and they needed help. Your car was just sitting here anyway. My mother chimed in with a voice that was almost cheerful. You are young sweetheart. You can always buy another car. Your brother is only getting married once. This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for him. I sat frozen in my chair. The words echoed in my head but refused to make sense. They sold my car, the car I spent 4 years saving for, the car I bought with my own money. They sold it without asking me, without even telling me, and gave the money to my brother for a vacation. Derek leaned back in his chair and grinned at me. He said, Thanks, sis. I knew you would understand. You will get over it. Amber let out a little laugh and added, Maui is going to be incredible, totally worth every penny. I looked around the table at each face. My father looked slightly uncomfortable but resolute, as if he had done nothing wrong. My mother smiled at me with that patronizing expression she always wore when she expected me to be the good, quiet daughter who never caused problems. Derek and Amber looked smug, entitled, completely certain that they deserved my sacrifice. Something cracked inside me. Not broke, but cracked like ice finally giving way under pressure. 28 years of being overlooked, undervalued, and taken for granted came rushing to the surface. But I did not scream. I did not cry. I did not give them the satisfaction of seeing me fall apart. Instead, I took a deep breath and felt something shift inside me. A calmness I did not know I possessed settled over me like a blanket. I laughed, not a bitter laugh or a sarcastic one, but a genuine, almost surprised laugh. Everyone at the table froze, clearly not expecting this reaction. I stood up slowly, smoothing down my skirt. I looked at each of them in turn, taking my time. That is fine, I said, my voice steady and clear. I do not need that car anyway. Derek's smirk faltered. My mother tilted her head in confusion. What do you mean? She asked. I smiled, and for the first time in my life, I felt completely in control of a conversation with my family. I was planning to share some news tonight, I said. I thought my birthday dinner would be the perfect occasion. I just got promoted at work. I am now a project manager at my company. My salary has doubled. The room went silent. My father's eyebrows rose. Derek's smile disappeared entirely. I continued. Also last week, I put a deposit on my own apartment in the city, a nice one-bedroom in a building with a doorman and a gym. I will be moving in next month. My mother opened her mouth to speak, but I was not finished. So you see, I said I was going to tell you all about my promotion and my new place tonight. I thought you would be proud of me. I thought we could celebrate together. Instead, you gave me a different kind of gift. You showed me exactly where I stand in this family. Derek leaned forward. Come on, Phil. Do not be dramatic. It is just a car. Just a car, I repeated. I worked for 4 years to buy that car. 4 years of early mornings and late nights, and saying no to things I wanted so I could save money. That car represented my independence, my hard work, my proof that I could take care of myself. And you took it from me without even asking, for a vacation. I picked up my purse from the back of my chair. I love you all, I said, But I am done being the one who is always expected to sacrifice so that Derek can have what he wants. I am done being invisible in this family. From now on, I am putting myself first. I walked toward the door. My mother called after me. "Philomena, wait. Let us talk about this. You are overreacting." I stopped but did not turn around. "No, Mom. For the first time in my life, I am reacting exactly the right amount. I am not angry. I am just done." I left without looking back. I called a rideshare from my phone and waited on the porch in the cool night air. The door did not open. No one came after me. As the car pulled up, I got in and gave the driver my address. As we drove away, I watched my parents' house grow smaller in the rearview window. I expected to feel devastated. Instead, I felt something I had not anticipated. I felt free. 3 months later, I heard the news through a cousin. Derek and Amber's marriage had lasted exactly 43 days. Apparently, Amber had been having an affair with her personal trainer. The affair started during their honeymoon in Maui. Derek came home early one morning to find them together and filed for divorce immediately. My parents called me the day after the divorce was finalized. My mother's voice was heavy with exhaustion and something that sounded almost like humility. She said, "Philomena, we need to talk. Derek is devastated. He moved back home. We thought maybe you could come by, be there for him. We are family after all." I listened quietly as she spoke. A year ago, I would have dropped everything and rushed over. I would have set aside my own feelings to comfort my brother, to be the good daughter, to keep the peace. But I was not that person anymore. I said, "Mom, I am sorry Derek is hurting. Divorce is painful, and I would not wish that on anyone. But I cannot keep being the person who shows up to fix problems while my own feelings are ignored. You sold my car to pay for that honeymoon. You did not ask me. You did not apologize. And now you want me to comfort him." She started to interrupt, but I kept going. "I need you to understand something. I am not holding a grudge. I am not trying to punish anyone. But I have spent my entire life being the one who gives and gives while everyone else takes. I cannot do that anymore. It is not healthy for me." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Finally, my mother said, "We were wrong. I see that now. I am so sorry, Philomena. I do not know how we let things get this way." It was the first genuine apology I had ever received from her. It caught me off guard, and I felt tears prick at my eyes. But I did not let them fall. "I appreciate you saying that," I said. "It means more than you know. But words are just the beginning. If you want a relationship with me, it has to be different. I need to be treated with respect. I need to matter as much as Derek does." "Can you do that?" she said. "We can try. That is all I am asking," I said. "I will give you time, and you give me time. We will figure it out." I hung up and sat in my new apartment, surrounded by furniture I had chosen myself, in a space that was entirely my own. Outside my window, the city lights glittered like scattered diamonds. The first few weeks after that birthday dinner were harder than I expected. Even though I had walked away with my head held high, the pain still came in waves. I would be fine one moment, then suddenly remember the look on Derek's face when he said I would get over it, and the hurt would wash over me all over again. I questioned myself constantly. Was I being too harsh? Should I have stayed and tried to work things out? Maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was too sensitive, too proud, too unwilling to forgive. But then I would remember the 4 years of sacrifice, the countless times I had been overlooked, the birthday dinner where my own parents treated my hard-earned property as something they could simply give away. And I would know deep in my bones that I had made the right choice. I threw myself into my new job. The promotion came with more responsibilities, longer hours, and challenges I had never faced before. But I welcomed it all. Work became my anchor, something I could control when everything else felt chaotic. My new apartment became my sanctuary. I painted the walls a soft sage green and hung string lights above my bed. I bought plants for every windowsill and learned how to keep them alive. I cooked meals for myself, experimenting with recipes I found online, eating dinner at my small kitchen table while listening to podcasts about personal growth and healing. One evening, I was carrying groceries up to my floor when the bag ripped and oranges went rolling everywhere. A woman from down the hall rushed over to help me gather them. Her name was Margaret, and she was in her early 50s with silver-streaked hair and kind eyes. We started talking, and I learned that she had been through her own family struggles. A difficult divorce estrangement from her adult children, years of therapy to rebuild her sense of self. She understood what it meant to walk away from people you loved in order to save yourself. Margaret became my friend, my mentor, my proof that family is not always blood. We had coffee together on Saturday mornings. She taught me how to knit. I helped her figure out how to use her new smartphone. In her, I found the unconditional support I had always craved from my own mother. 6 months after the birthday dinner, I went car shopping again. This time I had more money saved and better credit. I walked into the dealership with confidence and drove out in a brand new Toyota Camry Silver with leather seats and a sunroof. As I sat in that car for the first time, I did not cry like I had with the Honda. I just smiled. This car was not about proving anything to anyone. It was simply a tool to get me where I needed to go. My worth was no longer tied to objects or achievements, or the approval of people who had never truly seen me. I started seeing a therapist named Dr. Patterson. She helped me understand patterns I had never recognized before. The way I had been conditioned to seek validation from people who would never give it. The way I had learned to make myself small so others could take up more space. The way I had confused love with sacrifice. Healing is not a straight line, she told me once. Some days you will feel strong, and some days you will feel like you are back at the beginning. Both are part of the process. She was right. There were setbacks, days when I wanted to call my mother and pretend nothing had happened. Nights when I missed the idea of family so much it physically ached. But I kept going. I kept showing up for myself. A year after my birthday dinner, something unexpected happened. My parents showed up at my apartment unannounced. I opened the door to find them standing in the hallway, my mother holding a small cake and my father clutching a handwritten card. "We wanted to see where you live," my mother said. And we wanted to properly apologize, not over the phone, in person. I let them in. They looked around at my apartment with something like wonder, as if they were seeing me clearly for the first time. My mother started crying as she spoke. She said, "We failed you, Philomena. For years we treated you like you did not matter as much as Derek. We took you for granted because you never complained, never demanded anything. And that was wrong of us." My father, who had never been good with words, handed me the card. Inside, in his shaky handwriting, it said, "We are proud of you. We are sorry it took us so long to say it." I did not fall into their arms and forgive everything instantly. Real life does not work that way, but I accepted their apology. I thanked them for coming, and I told them that rebuilding would take time, that trust once broken does not repair overnight. They understood, or at least they were trying to. These days, my relationship with my parents is different, not perfect, but honest. We see each other monthly instead of weekly. We have boundaries now, rules we have agreed to follow. They ask before assuming. They listen when I speak. It is a work in progress, but progress is being made. Derek and I rarely talk. He never apologized, and I have accepted that he probably never will. Some people are not capable of seeing beyond themselves. I have made peace with that. I wish him well from a distance. As for me, I am thriving. I got another promotion last month. I am dating someone who treats me with kindness and respect. I have friendships that nourish me and hobbies that bring me joy. I wake up most mornings feeling grateful for the life I have built. Sometimes I think about that birthday dinner, about the moment everything changed. I used to see it as the worst night of my life. Now I see it differently. That night, my family gave me an unintentional gift. They showed me who they were, and in doing so, they forced me to discover who I was. I learned that loving yourself is not selfish, setting boundaries is not cruelty, and walking away from people who hurt you is not abandonment. It is survival. It is self-respect. It is choosing to live a life where you are not constantly waiting for scraps of affection from people who have none to give. If you are watching this and you see yourself in my story, I want you to know something important. You are worthy of love that does not come with conditions. You deserve to be seen and valued and prioritized. And if the people in your life cannot give you that, it is okay to find people who can. Family is not just about blood. It is about the people who show up for you, who celebrate your victories, who hold your hand in the darkness. You are allowed to choose yourself. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to build a life that makes you happy, even if it disappoints others. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family members who did not respect you? How did you find the strength to put yourself first? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who is going through something similar. If this story touched you, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel for more real stories about resilience, healing, and finding your way back to yourself. Thank you for being here with me today. I hope wherever you are, you know that you matter. You are enough. And your story is far from over. Take care of yourself. I will see you in the next one.